All right, so let's get started for this restorative session. And I want you to kind of get a feel where your hip direction is in the beginning of this formula. So let's get a sense of our feet in cobbler's pose. So you're going to turn so that your back is to the short end of the bolster. And you have your blocks at the low height, at the very outer edge of your thigh, so it's not really close to your knees as much as it is your thigh, so that the knees kind of perk up, and there's a little bit of like a bowl. Not a bowl of just the pelvis, but it kind of swoops down into the feet. So lean forward, see if you can lean forward with as much exact length in your back muscles as possible. So as you kind of prep here for your back, feel when your hands hold onto your feet, and feel when the bones actually center in your seat and your spine develops coordination, right? So I'm holding onto my feet, whether I'm gripping my ankles or towards my toes or the balls of the feet. You might grip onto your feet and feel your thumbs kind of dig in at the soles of your feet. Massage that space for a few seconds here. And then maintain this lengthening of the spine. See if you can move your chest towards the chin, lift up the heart. And then we're going to take our belts and we're going to buckle up so that we have a wide enough loop that you can place your belt loop overhead and then forward around where you're catching onto your feet. Okay? So as we play into this cobbler's pose, I'm going to lift the belt, draw over my feet, and then I like to loosen up the belt enough, but not too much, so that I feel that there's connectivity. Before you get into a reclining cobbler, make sure that the buckle is close to your hip. Okay, so slide the belt so it feels like it's kind of at your upper buttocks versus pushing into your spine. And then as the sand is dragged across, okay, you're going to lower back and recline. It's a deeper back bend because our blanket is lower than a roll. So noticing how convenient it is to tilt your blocks so that you're using that contoured edge to support the flesh, and feeling how the bones basically are supported when the flesh is hugging into the bones. Okay, so the belt hugs into the bones as well. And then if you have that sand option on belly or ribs where they intersect, I would use the sand for the beginning breath phase so that we can really map the way that gravity flows through and kind of interacts as we internalize our focus and steady our breath. So I've got my sand where the ribs lap together, right, where the ribs connect, and or I can have my sand across my belly. This is more back arch if it's at belly, it's more of a back bend. And this kind of helps our back, kind of encourages you to notice, well, if my ribs open, this helps my back muscles and their actual ability to absorb the sensation of the arch. Reach your hands back and let the hands grab onto the elbows. So find a few moments of almost like a recovering your awareness to breathing. Internalize the steady pace of your breath. Right, allow the first pose to be almost a basin of focus, to let your eyes close from top to bottom. And you'll conveniently feel the ribs expand and relax. So feel almost as if the motion is a lift. And when you have that breath almost as a deposit into your body, right? The breath is a deposit, right? You bring it in, it's free, right? The refills are free on this oxygen, but how long you bring it in, and then you want to try to let the exhale be longer than the inhale. So taking a breath and noticing where the circulation is relevant right now in the rib cage. Okay, if you have the right hand over the closest to or holding to the left elbow, notice that you're switching the elbow crisscross. Could be your awkward crossing. Feel if you can get the side ribs long. Try for reaching and feeling an awareness of holding the elbows. Now, if this is not positive for your shoulders or your neck, you can do a couple things, right? You can let go of the elbows, let your arms reach back without grabbing onto each other, okay? And you could roll the blanket up that's under your head so it's tucked up right at the base of the brainstem here. So a few more moments with the crossing. That is your second crossing of choice. Feel the ribs with breath. And then as the arms wander out to the floor, feel if you can distance the arms far out. There's some distractions in your space, noticing that clutter can be a distraction, right? It can be a distraction for the mind as much as the body in practice. So you want to try to clear your space a little bit now that we're in it. That would have been a previous topic, huh? But we do the best we can. So I'm trying to clear my inner environment. I have this whole inner value of the ribs expanding, the arms lowering down, and then feel the arms so they're set out from the chest, right? They're not down by your hips, they're out from the chest. Let the breath lower into the belly. If you happen to have sand on the belly, you'll feel that immediately. If not, it basically moves with control. Abdominal expansion, and then it drifts back towards the spine. About 4 more breaths here. If the hips feel pretty comfortable, I want you to lower the arms down. And then actually you're going to unbuckle the belts first, and then feel if there's any change in the thighs. So I'm going to actually slide the belt so it's not so distracted on my leg. But as I take this leg change, what we're going to do is move the block under the left leg so it's flat and it's tilted a little bit over to the side so it's a little easier to contour on my leg. And then I'll take the right foot and cross it over to the left knee and then move my sand away and hold the right knee with the left hand. Okay, if the block is feeling too harsh on your skin, then you can trade it out for the ball, right? That surface is much more contoured. So as I hold the right knee, I want you to guide that grip and kind of feel your right buttock as if it's kind of pushing over to the right, kind of feeling the flesh slightly peel open. This is kind of like it's like a peel. It's a glute peel. So when you hold on, the right arm is resting, or it's besides your head back. It's a little bit more dynamic that way, but they're both positive. And again, if the block is too harsh on the leg, change it for a ball. Or you can tolerate. Pose tolerance. Okay, now feel when you let go of the right knee that you're going to lower the arms besides you, and then master a little bit of control here. We're going to bring the knees back into center, but the right knee is still positioned open. So feel that position, uncross. Now, first the right thigh relaxes over to the block. Then the left leg crosses over to the right knee. That's kind of easier done with this on recording than in a room with group, because it's a challenging one to figure out. So make sure that your basic reality is that the back of the pelvis is centered, right? It's restoring. So you're not twisting your pelvis to the right. It's just the glute stretch. So my right hand reaches for the left knee, and as I feel that glute peel, what if I wanted more or less, or I wanted to feel what differences I have option-wise? You could reach lower on the left shin and feel that foot try to slide a little higher up onto the right thigh, right? You could work with that. That's about it. We're not trying to push the knee over to the right at all. So I want you to be a little careful. And most of us moving into that kind of lotus pose isn't going to get us anywhere, but possibly cause some discomfort in our knee and end up with some issues in the tissues. So feel if you can almost resist the hand pulling. So feel the knee push into the right hand. Feel that resistance and cause some dynamic energy through the left outer leg, through the lateral rotator. Take a few more seconds. Left arm could stretch back. It could be besides the body, so it's resting on the floor. But give yourself a chance to feel the glute peel. It's a very isolating pose, right? You can't really wander too much to the other side of the town with this one. You're stuck on the bolster. That's good. Good place to be. So let the bolster help your back. Let's keep working with that. So as I lower the left hand down and I let go of the knee, as I move my knees back up center, we're going to place a block under the back of the pelvis. So now you've got a bolster and a block under your back. Well, that's pretty nice. And then straighten your legs out, okay, or forwards, however you want to call that. So a supported bridge pose. This one, I'm going to move my blanket off of my bolster. All right, I'm going to try to work with that. I'm going to reach my heels forwards, get a hold of my belt, and then open out the chest by taking the belt, if I can get it out from under. Okay, over. Okay. So open up the chest, no sand. Feel the reach of the heels. Feel the boldness in the chest. And as the shoulders press back, neck is in a light amount of flexion. I want you to be a little cautious how much you let your chin move towards your chest. Think more chest towards chin. So it's lifting the ribs. Okay, so we're going to keep a hold of that belt, pretty taut, a generous width. And then as you slide your left foot in and the right foot, make ground with the feet. Scoop the tailbone under so you can feel the block underneath. The block is flat. And then guide the right knee in towards the chest. Take a mini moment here, just the right knee drawing in. Breathe. And then switch legs. I want you to take a few moments to alternate these legs. Alternate, so there's a dynamic pattern, but the key is that I hold the belt overhead, and we are going to map the way gravity moves through the core quite a bit today. So prepare for some core rebounding work. Okay, so feel that alternating kind of pitter patter of your foot on the floor, alternate the feet. The knee kind of bounces up and moves in, but I'm very careful of my lower back. Okay, so as I lower down the feet, let go of the belt, sweep the arms down to the block beneath your pelvis, and then lift up the hips, slide the block out, and start to come into side sage with the left hip next to the bolster. So feel, how would you swing into that? Would you kind of thrust your body over to the floor and get your way into it? Or you can basically kind of curl into it. So you're going to rotate, and you're going to kind of emulate creatures that have very mobile spines. Okay, so when I move the bolster across to horizontal, this is one option. If you like the bolster lengthwise, take that shape. But since we kind of have the blankets behind us, we can use them in a stack and place a block overhead. Take your blankies, grab your sandbag, and I want you to first have that sand so that it's nearby to put on before you lie into your side. So if I need something under my right knee, I'll put a ball in preference over the block, but blocks work good. So feel your body if you're going into this version of side stage, the horizontal bolster, that you're leaning down, but there's a little bit more opening your chest towards the ceiling, right? So I've got my sand on my hip, okay, versus my ribs. I'm going to tuck in the blankies and feel my left knee and leg kind of swing into more of a scissor kick so it's quite free. Hopefully we're following that idea. So there's a little more kind of loosey-goosiness here. Okay. It's a little bit more of a loose side stage. So that means you're kind of set free. You can move your upper arm, there's no sand kind of stapled to your sides, so you can move. And the block overhead could be a stabilizing experience for the arm. If the arm is sensitive to this reach, you're not so sure about it, let your arm be either besides your left arm or behind you, or besides you on your sand. Feel the weight of your head in the blanket, this left hemisphere. Feel the reach of the ribs, and that they really reach with your breath. The breath is a vehicle for concentration, right, for elongation. It's an interesting force that we are with through our lifetime, right? So noticing it as a place for attention. And as you anchor your attention on the breath, if the waist is starting to turn you open to the ceiling, I want you to try to stay with that left hip grounded and the right side lengthening. Few more breaths. Waist lengthens, focusing on that. With a moment of opportunity for a sage sleeping pose, right? So the sage twist. If you want to stay with this an extra 30 seconds, this is your pose of choice. If you want to take a moment in sleeping sage, you might put your right leg to your left foot, and you might end up finding the sand moving off. It gives you a little more free play with your spine. And turn the bolster up. This is a really good reliever for our backs. So if we can take this pose pattern where the right knee is touching to my left foot, it kind of is nestled in the bottom of the foot, kind of nicely in the arch. So then when I twist, it holds my hip and my knee stable. And it has an option of belly down, head turns right. So if your left leg is closest to your bolster, your head is on the left side, right? So it's similar sides. And your arms could stretch open or relax a little closer in towards the bolster. You're relaxing your intention to strive very much. So if you need a little fidgeting, that's fine. But feel the opportunity to relax the weight of your head. If it's too much bulk under your head, you could take a blanket out. There's a bit of an arch in the neck. And just experiencing the movement of the ribs with the breath. Especially the thick back ribs. It's a twist, so that's about thick back ribs. A few more moments. If you're still in side stage, keep that pose. Continue along with breath. Now, I hope that those that have the twist can feel the kind of the margins in the spine, the turn. And if your head feels like it's pushing up and it's tightening your neck, then one blanket is plenty. So the two could be too much for some people. So as we slide the hands in, keep a little bit of this core awareness of twisting. So it's like you're doing a twist push-up. Okay, so my hands are down, elbows are by my sides, they're closing in. And then I'm going to turn my gaze towards the back of my mat space, push to lift up, inhale, feel the arch through the spine, but also the dynamic through the spinal column, right, that rotation. And then I want you to carefully lower, but not make an imprint on your bolster right now. See if you can hover. Of course, the belly and the lower attachment of the ribs are going to measurably touch the bolster and push a little bit. But feel when you come up again that moving your back into like a cat shape is not an option. That's the one position this pose can't do. So just noticing your spine's ability to mostly arch and twist, because we're all into the thoracics. The lumbars are kind of in a freeze frame right now. They're really kind of in a locked position for safety. It's kind of interesting to see what you can do. Take a couple more of these push-ups. These could be named sage push-ups, huh? Okay. Pushing up better with age. All right, so when I push up, I certainly feel my core has been rotated. Okay, now as I reach back for the block, if you have one back there, you want a block soon enough. What you'll do is you'll move this bolster forwards, take a blanket off so you're down to one behind you, and let's turn so that when we're forwards, we have our seat on just the firm ground, no blanket underneath you. All right, and then as you get the bolster, lift it up so the short end is on under your hands and have your feet either pressing down. If this causes a little bit of a twang in the hip flexor, I mean, any bit of it, like it's kind of crampy, then I want you to have your legs straight down, flat. Okay, so you choose, bend or lengthen. If you're pretty flexy, probably flat is going to go good for you. So lean into the shape and feel the sitting bones. If your back is rounding, I want you to try to work with pressing down, chest to chin, so lifting up, and then feel your bones lean a little bit forwards. Now, if you want to wander a little farther front, as long as the belly organs feel like they can move with the breath, kind of like they're in the sea of breathing, right? Consider that when you breathe at belly breathing level, that the organs kind of move with that wave of breath. Right? It kind of rests your organs from gravity's constant downward pull is what we're moving towards. It's really feeling the organs situated with breath, moving. Okay, now feel how the belly is not necessarily a gripping place right now. It's kind of dropping. So when you come back up, we're going to move our legs in to the bolster. Put the bolster on the right side of your mat. So it's on the floor, kind of adjacent to the upper right thigh would be helpful. And then acquire a block. Place it between the knees. Scoot your seat forward so that your blanket's going to be easily under your brain, is approximately. And then as you start to reach your arms forward, feel the differences in the belly. So when you lower down, I want you to have a little bit of attention to the leg muscles. And then as you lower down, feel the spine round into the cat shape and move all the way back. Knees in towards chest, arms open, legs up. Okay, remove the block. Legs are gonna be straight up at 90 degrees, so we're gonna go 90, 60, 40. So you'll be a little bit cautious on this one as far as your angle for your back. So this is core work, but it's on the spine, right? So we're on our back, so that has some ease to it, I think. All right, so I'm gonna put my hands under my buttocks. So I'm actually sliding my hands down to my rear. Then I'm gonna bring my knees into my chest and put my hands underneath. So my hands, I like to have the placement where I make like a diamond shape with my hands and then place it under so it's a little bit below my sacrum, right? It's about just right, the thumbs are right to the sacrum. All right, so you can always stay with 90 degrees. You can always stay here, 90 to 60. So we'll start with 90, straight up. Breathe in, belly full. Exhale, go down to 60. So you're taking the legs at a 60-degree angle. Inhale, come back up, straight up, so vertical. If the legs swing a little bit back, I want you to try to concentrate that they really are straight up so that you can see your feet flexing. And then lower the legs back down to 60. Now see if you can lower them down a little bit more. If you're getting a lot of pressure on your hands, I want you to try to move your hands so that they slide out, but they still feel a touch to your rear. So you still connect to them. So you're trying to press down. Now inhale, come back up to 90, breathe. Pressing either on the floor so the hands are beside your rear, but you're not trying to push your rear off the ground at all. And then move the legs forward to an angle. And now test this angle for a moment. I want you to get a feel of your legs so that they're squeezing together. Really control the leg position in. Now as you bend your knees, bring the knees in towards the chest so you feel them squeeze in. You're going to take the block. You know, you can tell the knees want to be apart. So place the narrow block, or you can place the block at the mid-width. So narrow or mid-width. Narrow or mid-width. I'm going to go mid-width. So as I lower the feet down, the width of the block opens up my back. So I'm going to push down into setting for bridge pose. Bring the arms overhead and lift the hips up at the same time. Now, as your heels lift, you don't have a bolster under your feet, so you're basically free on the floor. Lower the spine and design a motion so that your spine centers down. Your knees draw in towards the chest. You really squeeze them in to release the back. Inhale, legs up. This is a dynamic exercise for core. Now, if you have the block mid-width, you got to turn it to the most narrow. That would be hip-friendly kindness here. Now, move the legs up so they're at 90, so feet flexed. Inhale. It's a good idea to just breathe. Exhale, move the legs a little forward. See if you can work towards 60 degrees. You don't have to make it perfect. I want you to try to squeeze the block. Really push into the block. And then let the feet lower down all the way, pressing down the soles of the feet. Lift up the pelvis, pelvic tilt all the way up to bridge pose. Bring your arms overhead. And if the blanket doesn't work good for you on this one, you can take it away, just push it back. I want you to work on feeling the lift of the hips. Blanket or no under your head, you choose. Okay, try to increase that lift of the hips, maybe by a centimeter. Keep the heels down, lower the spine, try to stretch the spine forward as if it's reaching towards your heels. So there's no more rear grip than that one, where you kind of clench your rear to just see if you can get your spine forward. So feel when that spine is kind of lengthened down. And then I bring the knees in and take the block and then push down to my feet. Again, lift up my hips. Center the block under the back of your pelvis, low or mid-height. Okay, we're going to go to legs up. So if the mid-height is a little bit tippy for you, or your block is a little tippy, what you might end up doing is stack 2 blocks flat. Okay? You can have the block flat to start and see how it goes. So I push my chest open, I really try to get a more of a puffer chest. My elbows by the sides, feel the shoulders back. And then as you lift one foot at a time, start with the knees in that bend, and then the legs stretch up. So controlling from the 60 degrees to the 90 degrees, legs are up. Feel if you can move your arms so they're down by the sides towards the base of your mat, away from your head. And then feel the shoulders trying to move back. Try to work your shoulders back. Yeah. Turning your head side to side is not the smartest choice for this type of pose for the neck. So any of these reclining spine strengtheners, hip openers, likely the neck is going to be a part of the position to support the spine. So it matters how you turn your head around. It's such a flexible part of the spine that it probably moves in ways that might be better not to push it around. So feel basic in life, right? Try to get things to move basically. So my feet are straight up, more the 90 than the 60. Try to find that sweet spot where the legs are lifting. The balls of the feet stretch up, so try to lift up out of the legs. And then center the spine all the way to the brainstem. And you might let your eyes relax and internalize processing the pose. So resting the organs from gravity's constant pull, from our standing positions, our kind of crouched seating positions when we hunch over. So really let the organs kind of bask in these poses. Organ basking. Awesome. Approaching the sound of your breath. We can't hear your breath sounds. So you can keep it on the quiet, on the down low, or notice a little bit of that amplification of your exhalation. And now if my feet are straight up as I know it, as I feel it, I'm going to start to bend through the knees. And if you can, take that right angle of the legs so that the feet are still lifting versus kind of slouching the feet down and dropping them. I want you to try to keep them up, forward from the knees. The legs are still connecting at the feet, right? So it's a wise choice because your back is in a vulnerable traction with something that's lifting up the sacrum. So we don't want to wander our feet too much, but feel the core connection. Okay, and see if you can move your feet a little bit forward. Now when we lower the right foot down, the left foot down, we're going to take the supported bridge pose again. This time it's a little more opening at the hip flexors than when we have the bolster under the spine. So push forward through your feet, lift open in the chest, really get the side waist to lengthen. Give it a few more moments, open up through the lifting chest as if the chest moves down towards your chin. Relax your throat. Really internalize where your body needs it most. Feel, you can always lower your block. You don't have to have it this high. Now feel when the feet go a little farther out. Notice it does easier on your back. Let's see what feels most comforting for our back. Legs closer, legs distance. Now if I slide my feet in, so the knees perk up and point upwards, then my back is a little bit different. It feels a little more relaxed. So when you press down into your feet, and you basically do have to feel a little bit of grip through the buttocks to get here, to lift up. Now you're going to slide the block aside And if you have a ball, you're going to need that here. And if you have a block, you're going to keep that next to you. So if you have a block, you're going to put the block to the side and windshield wiper the knees. If you have a ball, so that's going to be spine down, knees side to side, feet wide. If you have a ball, place it under the right buttock, right? Let it be anywhere on the buttock, because once you push your weight and smush the ball, and you kind of press and create equal pressure and movement across the upper right glute, so really the glute medius here, you'll probably find your own little trigger points where you feel like, oh, that's definitely a space that's likes to be massaged, okay? So whatever size massage ball you have will be adequate on this one. You could use a tennis ball too. Quick, go get a tennis ball. Then as I push and I move the ball to the other side, then you move side to side. It wouldn't really work very well if you had two of the massage balls at the same time, because you need that opposite buttock and hip to actually move so you can smush the ball that is massaging the glute you're on. And those of us that are windshield wipering, we have our feet wider than hips distance and our knees are going side to side. So let's all meet in the next few moments here with the knees swishing side to side. Feel where your arms are by your sides to get some control. You're going to place the bolster so it's certainly next to your right thigh. I would bring it up high enough so that you could pull your knee up higher today. So I'm going to slide the right leg straight down and then cross the left leg over to the bolster. Okay, block or ball on the sacrum, sand on outer left thigh. Okay, so lots of full body sweeping sensations coming up here. So you want to feel that your thigh sand is integrating the hip and the lateral rotators of that left thigh. Okay, so for some of us, we're going to push our bolster away, a little bit out to the right. For some, we're going to pull a little higher. So feel where the spine is scooping. Yeah, and your left arm frees open. Okay, open the chest and the heart and recognize where the elbow on the left arm is kind of a magnet of sensing the chest. So I want to feel that push down. Yeah, there ought to be some challenge with your breathing cycle when you're in a twist. So use that to strengthen the lungs. It's deliberately doing that for your lung pressure. That's why you don't live in a twist, right? So you'll find that these are good poses, right, for kind of inner rebounding. And you don't need a rebounder for that, inner rebounding. So feeling the chest, feeling your brain turn left. If it hurts your neck to turn all the way to the left, brain is centered, and you're looking towards the ceiling and maybe closing your eyes. Feel the awareness of the ribs moving equally outwards, even though you have the leg crossing on the left side quite differently than the right leg. So noticing that you can still isolate from your lower ribs to your upper ribs and have the upper ribs in an equilibrium equilibriumist state, right? But the lower ribs and the guts are being turned and twisted and wrung out, the tension in the guts. So it's a pretty intense position for the abdomen to move. Now, if your right leg is bending and trying to bend more, I want you to try to start to lengthen the right leg. And then as we come out, we're going to keep this simple simple medicine here on this one. So when I move the sand to my belly this time, belly sand, I'm going to move my legs straight up, 90, okay. So get a feel there. If I move my legs a little bit forward from 90, towards 60 maybe, you might take a moment and feel where in between 90 and 60 is best for your hip flexors. Is it at all? Because if you were sitting doing this pose in boat pose, right, it would be a little bit more irritating to your hip flexors, I would imagine. So use the sand, really pack it down to the thighs so it's almost like it made the degree change. Okay, now when we change sides, we're going to bend the knees and straighten the legs straight down. Put the sand on the top of the thighs, the thigh ribs. Okay, push down into your feet like you're in Tadasana, so you're pushing into your feet as if there's a wall there to push into. And focus on the leg energy pushing down and the spine natural arch. Move the bolster to the left side of your mat, out to the side of the mat. And take a moment here where your legs are reaching. Push onto your sandbag as if it's going to stretch your thigh legs a little bit. Versus using your arms overhead and push down into feeling the buttocks, feeling the feet, feeling the heels press down, the back of the heel. Okay, now push the sand off, and then right leg bends, right leg crosses over to the left. Okay, getting ahead of myself there. So as the waist turns, and you can feel that sloshing around in your muscles and your organs. I guess muscles don't slosh, right? Organs maybe slosh around. You can't even hear what they're up to probably some of the time, but only when they really need to let you know. But when the leg is crossing, can you put some sand or weight on the right exterior leg and the ball maybe to the sacrum? Yeah, the block works okay if you want to place a block there instead. It kind of nabs that space and it encourages the way gravity flows into the hip. Right, so I try to push my sand a little lower on that outer right leg and then turn with my thick ribs to the right. And let it be an actual isolated thoracic rotation. Feel the straight left leg. Feel what it's like to modify and do a little bit of relaxation in that leg. And can you take one body part, and even if it's many parts, to create one strip of the leg? Can you go through each of those segments in this position and relax them? And feel the order of things, the arm open. Yeah, it's quite nice to take care of your muscles and your organization of your bones in these levels of sequencing. So feeling the relationship of the side of the waist right now. Experiencing the hip. Feel if you can monitor the intensity and maybe back off a little bit, right? If you want to soak it up and get some change. Probably the change doesn't come through if your nervous system is really riled up and it's such a deep stretch. So if you can just take it down a notch, maybe you move your sand off your leg, maybe that's better, maybe you move it right up onto the actual hip bone so it's a little more weight bearing for the hip. It's a little different stretch. My right leg can kind of relax that way. Okay, now what we're going to do is this right side is going to be the base side coming up for sage pose. So I want you just to recognize where we're moving our hip is going to be towards weight bearing, which is what it feels with the sand. But now we're going to use just our pure body for the weight bearing. So take a moment here. We're going to slide the ball away, roll it away actually, and then we'll move the sand. And then this right leg, this little leg of yours is going to shift back in center. And then I want you to actually let the body hold onto the back of the legs, and let's be wise about how we transition for our back's care. We can rock a little side to side, and then rock over towards your bolster, push it away, and then when you come up, you're going to take the bolster to the backyard and the back of your mat, and stack up your blankies, okay? Set your bolster across, and come into side stage, right hip down, and take the final stage pose so that you might work your weight of your waist so it leans in, the ball under the left knee, the sand on the left outer leg. If you don't prefer the sand, you could slide into it sand free. Okay? But feeling with the weighted body parts that we're just kind of crossing over. Try to continue that weight bearing to the right hip and then elongate the left arm. Yeah, feel the waist, sense length. Really reach to the left side. Okay, now sand is nice to have, right? If I put it at my hip for what we're doing today, where we're going, soon enough we're going to thread all the way through in the next, right next to this pose. So try to go for lengthening, really reaching. You might be on the back of your head, you might be turning your head to the right and stretching thoroughly. You might have a block overhead. So if you have a prop overhead for your hand, you might be able to handle the pose better. Okay. Breathing costally, intercostal motion with the breath. Expansion, contraction. Fill the body. Energetically noticing where the waist reaches. Does it reach from the arm mostly, or does your hip have an ability to stretch your waist? That's what you kind of study for a lifetime, how to get the pelvis to be in such a place where your back feels good, right? Your arms can swing, your legs can go around, and extremities go all places. But get a feel for utilizing that pelvic sturdiness, or it's a little sturdy part. It's the center of gravity for our bodies. So when we start to turn into the right leg, I'm going to turn and bring my hands down. I'm going to take a moment to flip my bolster, okay? And then as you have your sand off of you, coming into that little sage push-up, but lower down and get the belly on the bolster. Belly to bolsters. Okay, lower down, feel your arms move out, feel your head turn left so that your right hip is down, your right side of your head is on the bolster. And you've got that quality of connection. So feel that. Yeah. And try to let the bones, the structure of the spine, feel some motion. And then also feeling it going through that motion and centering and relaxing. So you feel your hip center, your head turns left. Now, if the blanket feels too bulky and your neck is feeling tighter, just noticing, how necks feel. You might go one blanket less. And I go, oh, wow, that does give my back a little more ease and my neck. Now slide the hands in, push, slide the hands in and push to bring yourself up, and then take a few sage push-ups here. So you're going to bend your elbows by your sides, lower down, hover so your face doesn't meet the bolster, and then come up. And if your left side of your spine is really feeling that, bring your left knee on top of the right inner knee, and then try that and see if that's a little easier in your back. Take just a couple more. Right? So get a feel for movement. We're going to add into this very soon. Okay, get a feel for motion, and then when you come up, we're going to take the bolster aside for a good amount of time. We're going to slide the blanket in, and we're going to simply turn so that we are kneeling on the bolster. So I want you to, not the bolster, sorry, the blanket. So you're going to kneel on the blanket, and you'll need a couple blocks in front besides the inside on the mat. Just actually put it right to the side of your mat. Crawl so that the knees are on the blanket. One blanket is enough. Okay. Now you might end up actually with this set to take the blanket a little bit forward. Now keep in mind the blanket is a little bit more into the square and it's forward. It's not moving back to my shins. So it'll be under my belly. Okay. So when you stretch forward with your hands, I want you to walk the hands out, take your front paws a little bit out, and then reach your hips down and lengthen. Let the waist reach and feel the knees separate. So as we did on our back, where we had the feet feeling that they were like farther out in our bridge pose, now we're in kind of the opposite hammock for the back, but same back stuff. Okay, now come back, it's your same back. Reach your hips back, keep the knees wide. So my knees are wider than my hips. They're almost as wide as my ribs right now. Inhale, round your back, curl, so it's a little undulating action. Lift forwards at the heart. Exhale, come back, push into the floor, feel the core body, and then reach your hips back. So kind of notice the awareness of alternating for one more time, arching, lifting, careful, and then as you come back to table, let's give this one a try, okay? So try with me to put your blocks under your hands, so the blocks are flat. Yeah, they kind of barely hold on to the hand or have a hand hold on to them, but when I push down, what we're gonna do is feel the knees apart, they're wider than the ribs, they're pretty wide. And then when you round your back into cat, feel the chin drop towards the chest. Okay, now as you look back towards the feet, I want you to toes under, hook the toes under, lift up the knees and reach the balls of the feet down, the heels towards the floor, hands on blocks, push the floor away. Now the floor is up closer to you because you're on blocks, right? So it might be easier for you to get your heels down. It's still challenging as I'll get up with the wrist, right? So feel the reach through the arms, okay? And then we're going to come forward into heart bridge, okay? So you're gonna reach forward, knees down. I would scoot the blocks, so they're actually a little farther out than you think sometimes for heart bridge. It's like your blocks are gonna be at your armpits. They're not gonna be here in your chest. You have to have them a little bit out, right? You don't wanna just squish your chest. This feels awful. So what I want you to have is a blanket that's in front, or a sandbag works too, under your forehead. So when you move down, you've got your blanket, and it's kind of nice to have this much blanket under my belly. So I'm going to lower down, my blocks are wide. If you have specs on, you might need to take these off for now. And feel the belly, feel the length of the legs. Like you want to feel like I have one leg here, one leg here. I know they're attached and they somehow feel like they work together a lot. But try to let them be separate entities right now. So each thigh is lengthening down. So I lower down my forehead to the blanket without my nose pushing into it. So I want the blanket under my forehead. My blocks are tucked in. I know my sound can be muffled with me talking into the ground, so I'll keep my head up a little bit more than you. So you want to try to keep your forehead down on your blanket, not lifting your head up. And see if you can move your arms back so that you feel the shoulder, the process, the coracoid process. You are trying to push the blocks in so they really hold your shoulders up. They help you right now with your posture. So feel the arms beside you. Don't worry about them being active and doing superhuman pose positions, reaching back. Just let them be passive beside you. And just let your body concentrate on your forehead down and breathing. Relax the buttocks. Now, see if you can get your ribs as if that's a plate that you can feel from your navel section up to where if you breathe fully into the floor, you can feel that it has life of its own. There's a pulse there. It dynamically moves. It's an essential part of your livelihood is to have that area vibrant. Okay, so keep that energy source pulsing with the breath into the floor resistance. Now bring your arms, your hands up. Let's focus on hands first. So I'm going to reach back to my hands. My shoulders are still in the blocks. I want you to try to reach your arms straight back so they're razor sharp, reaching back, and position so you feel you're still touching onto your blocks. Forehead down. You're not missing anything. Okay, now feel the legs still apart, and now press down into the tops of your feet. Fill up the legs with energy and muscular control. Like you contract the top of the kneecaps, pull them up, and then move your head up off the blanket. Move your shoulders down into the blocks, your arms straight back. Now I want you to try to lift your shoulders up and stretch back. Tops of the feet press. Be a little careful of your neck here. So you're not trying to turn your head side to side. You're trying to work with your legs. Try to use your legs to help lift your core up. Push down to the feet. Press forward into the pelvis. And then as you lower down your shoulders, your forehead is down. You're going to reach your hands together, interlace your fingers, and try to stretch your arms back and up. Forehead down. So interlace your fingers, stretch your arms back and up. If this is really difficult for you, you could use a belt and try to lift up your hands, right? So you could have a belt and lift up with that. Or you can work the best that you can. It's worth using the belt, even if you have to do a field trip to get one. I like the belt on this one. I can get my hands closed, but it doesn't do the full deal of the full support for my shoulder health. So I hold my belt and I'm actually have my feet wide and I lift up. I'm going to bring my forehead back down. Shoulders back. Please keep the shoulders back. Okay, now that the shoulders are warm, if you've got a belt, slide it aside. This is a good at least 30-second option, I think. Okay, now hands are out besides the blocks. Put the blocks aside, tuck in the elbows, slide the elbows forward, Sphinx pose. Feel your elbows center down, feel your heart reaching forward. Yeah, let the body kind of evolve into the state of absorbing and internalizing the last few minutes here. Feel where the legs are. And then start to move your legs a little closer. So you're going to hook the toes under lightly. And kind of roll from one hip bone to the other. Get the legs close. Tops of the feet down. Lift up in the front. Perfect Sphinx potential here. Okay, now as I bend to the knees, okay, and then I'm going to slide my hands back. So that means I'm going to go down with my ribs. You have superpowers there. And then I'm going to push up, like a push up. Right? It's a good push with the knees down. And then toes under. lift up your knees in a plank pose. Now, if your hips are sinking, I want you to try to lift up and lift up in the midsection. So as if you had something pointing at your, right, all the way into that corridor, right where the ribs intersect, kind of poking up there to lift you up. Okay. Now, push back to down dog. Reach your feet out wide enough on your mat so that it's complementary for your hamstrings. Hands might be closer in than the feet, meaning they're not as wide as the feet. Okay, do a little study here. Do a little dance if you want to with your hips. Yay for spines to drain out. Weight of your head is down. Okay, walk the feet close together, in together, and then as you lower down your knees, take your blocks in, and let's step our right foot forwards between the blocks, okay? Right foot forward between the blocks. Lift up the back knee and make a way of motion so your back heel is starting to press back and down to elongate. Now, if your blanket's in the way, if it was pretty spread out on your mat, you can always take a mini moment, get out of your pose and fold it up so it's not such a distraction for your posture. But try to let the legs be on 2 tracks and lengthen the back leg especially. The blocks could be at the mid to high height here. So I want to encourage you to feel your torso, and then make that torso get a little more space. We're going to turn left, turn the right foot in, so you're pivoting towards likely your screen, I have a feeling. And you're pivoting so you're in a wide stance with your blocks both in front of you, and your feet turning in and your heels out. Feel your seat move back. Feel your hands lower to 1 height down if your blocks were up. And then I want you to try to let your waist go long. So your blocks could go forward, wide downward dog, I think of this as. The brain lowers between your arms. And your work here is cut out for you. You're reaching through the levers, and your head can nod side to side. Yeah, so the arms could be forward, the arms could be a little closer in if that seems a little more comfortable for the rhythm of your muscles, right? If they're a little bit twitchy and shaky, then you bring your blocks closer in and you take the same shape, head down. Now, if you can do it, do this so that you feel that reach with the arms. And I want you to take the hands in a little closer for all of us. And if you can lower your blocks down and bring the blocks on the mat. So they're either between the feet or a little bit forward of the feet. And you're going to bend your elbows and lower your crown of your head towards the floor. Okay, so feel the legs deeply stretch. Drop the kneecaps. Put a little focus into the leg strength. Now bend your knees. Okay, bend your knees, and we're going to come up for a moment. So I want you to scoot your feet in close enough so you don't go out into the splits by accident. Okay, so bend your knees and move the blocks so they're still forward, right? They may come up to the highest height, so when you move out of this next pose, it's easy to get them. But I want you to bring your hands to your hips and actually come up and feel the arch of the spine. Feel the upper lift of the ribs. Feel the hands to your hips, the sides of your hips. Lift your chest. Try to get a really nice feel of the chest up. Bring your right hand to hold into the right hip, closer to the waist. Left arm stretches over to the right. You can barely see my upper zone, I know. But you're reaching over to the right with your left arm, stretching the left side of the waist. Inhale up. Change sides, left hand to left, between the hip and the waist. Stretch the right side of the waist, let that arm lengthen. breathe. Now, if you feel any twitch in the back, that's really not getting a complete stretch. You might move a little bit through that back landscape. Both arms open, and then when you lean forward this time, feel the arms stretch out. Try to feel resistance in the legs. So bend your knees, and then lower your hands to the blocks. Take one final wide stance position. Feel the feet, toes in, heels out. Okay. Now, if the arch is in the neck, I want you to let that spine flatten a little bit so you're more of a cat-shaped spine, chin, chest, round the back, stretch the spine. Inhale, easy arch. And then bend your knees and take the blocks to the right side, over to the right foot in front. And I want you to take a standing Uttanasana with hands holding the elbows. So we'll walk the left foot to the right foot in front. Move our blocks out. Take the feet hips distancing. Lift up your sitting bones and then hold the elbows. That make it just easy for your shoulders here. Feel the shoulders sweep and the brain drain. Shouldn't be a brain drain, but internalize the process of these forward bends. These are all inversions, right? So inversions would be not just the feet up, but also the brain below the heart. So feeling the hips are now up. Nod your head a little forward and back. You can change the crossing of the arms. Now with the arms hanging, the knees bending, we take a hold of our blocks and we step the right foot back. And we're in a pure startup of a lunge. And our right heel reaches to the floor. Okay. So experience as much elongation as you can in the legs before we get into the hips. So you might move your sitting bones or your buttocks a little side to side, but see if you can find a stature here where the legs are rather sharp, they're rather lengthy, and if it's a little bit of a jitteriness in your legs, feel what happens when you move your hips. It's about the composure of all of it, right? It's everything matters, the leg flexibility, the hips, the spine, the arms, the chest. Too many things to be here all day, huh? You might be. All right, so feel the back heel, and then let's take a moment here where our ribs reach and move the blocks a little farther forward. You just give it a try. You can always move them forward and bend your left knee a little bit. We're working for destination, starting to inch up into the top of the thigh. And now mobilize yourself to lower your back knee, okay? Get a bolster, slide it under your left lunge leg, okay? So this might take a little bit of coordinating, but we're coming to pigeon, and we'll lower the blocks, and I want you to take that sensation of the right quadricep, back leg, stretching forward first. So you feel that you lean and stretch. Left foot steps and crosses, toe, heel, toe, heel. Kind of feel your foot snuggle into the floor. And then left knee is open. And then that foot kind of grabs the bolster. It really does grab it, doesn't it? It's a bolster grab. Okay, the elbows can go to the blocks or the other blanket. If you have some technique that you like to explore in this pose, with your elbows propped up or your elbows flat, right? This is going to be a little more intense in your hip. But then again, if I have my blocks under my elbows, it allows me to stabilize my core in a different way. One, it kind of drops out, and one, it stays integrated. So they're both useful. You have to find what is good for you in the moment. But really feel that tilting cat pose with the back. And feel a little bit of that arch to the spine. And so you might get a feel of the arch of the back, how that changes the hip. With a few more moments of exploration on this left hip, I would try to let that right leg stay heavy versus tinkering with moving the foot towards the rear and so forth. Really stay with the left hip, or whatever hip you're on, whatever hip you need. Now feel when you move your pelvis back so that you're stretching your spine, right? So if I round my back in flexion, my spine is reaching back. And I'm going to lean to my left buttock and then come up. And I want you to take a seated twist for a mini moment here. So what we'll do is we'll come up, and I want you to swing that right leg over the left. It really is dependent on your knees, isn't it, this one? So it is so individual, twists. And getting the pelvis to open as much as the hip and the spine is all a relative essential part of this. So if my knee doesn't like this, my left or my right, usually it affects both of them sometimes. So I can swing my left leg straight, keep my right knee pointed upwards, okay, before I twist. So this might be more stable for some of us. For some, it's going to be bending the knee is just fine. So depending on your options here, you're going to take a sandbag, and I want you to put that on the left thigh. Okay, your sand is on your left thigh, and even if your left leg is straight. So you're going to turn, take a block. I would take a block so it's at mid-height behind you. And when you rotate, carefully hold onto that right knee and feel the waist turn. Take some time. It might be, okay, I'm forward, my belly is centered, right? And then we're going to turn to the right with the left elbow hooked to that right leg, and then feel if you can actually press your elbow into the right leg and ring out the torso. Ring around the torso, okay? It's kind of like that, right? If you do any hula hooping, right? You might go, okay, this is like, it's a space in my torso that I'm trying to turn around. So reach with the left elbow, press and try to straighten the left arm and rotate. In breath, spine up, out breath, turn. And now feel when you unwind forwards. Okay, we're going to take our block in front with us and then let the right leg relax open. So I'm in a simple swastikasana, simple cross-legged pose. So I'm going to move my sand to my right thigh. I'm going to cross the legs so my feet are in front of my, they're really close to my knees on both sides, so it's more of a box. And then I'll take my blocks in front and try to go straight and just very simple, just straightforward. Don't make it too mixed up with your directions. Keep it simplified. And if my back is really deeply arching after the twist, see if you can let the spine recover. So a little bit of motion side to side, not too active, but feel a little bit of the muscles jogging, not a slow jog. I mean, ribs have, the muscles between the ribs, breathing muscles, so let them jog a little bit. And if you're not jogging, that's okay. Okay, feel the waist arching. Try to minimize your rounding back. Okay, now the right hip is warmed up here. So we'll take pigeon on the right hip. So take the change. If your sand feels kind of satisfying there, just move it away. If it's tempting, keep it on. Left leg stretches back. Yeah, and if you tend to fidget your props to make them perfect, you might do a little bit of that, but then get back to the situation you're focusing on your hip. Yeah, time is minimal in some ways of the amount of time we're in it. So see if you can emphasize what works for you, right? Feeling what is the best angle, because it's different for each of us with our history. So you might feel like, whoa, this is a real dive into my hip. So I want you to try to let your spine find some balance, and especially the nervous system, right? The energy around the position. So if you feel like it's energetically gripping and you want to get out of it, noticing your breath pattern, noticing how you're holding your shoulders, and try to feel the core of the body move to help that out. Keep in mind that motion is lubricating right to the joint. So essential part of even these still looking poses is a little bit of motion. Yeah, don't forget the weight in your hips is the ingredient of choice here. We want to feel the weight into this right buttock. You also want the left leg to extend back, so feel a little reach of that back thigh. Yes, so can you reach the right knee forward? Feel the weight trickle into the right outer thigh, into the thigh as much as the bottom. And see if you can sneak your way upwards and then wind up. So you're going to come up, and a spinal twist is a wind up, right? So we bring the left leg over. We sneak in a sandbag on the right thigh, sneaky sanding. And then we continue on with the turn to the left. Right, so I bring the right elbow to the left outer leg and a block behind me. Now, if you didn't quite get that exact sequencing, and your knee isn't sure, but you could go with right leg straight. It's different for your sitting bones too, because if my right leg is straight, my right sitting bone is capable of helping me sit up and turn. My right knee is open. I really don't have the same stability on my sitting bone. It's turned, right? So it's a challenge for your spine. So some of these poses are really quite genius on the sequencing and how they can help us, you know, basically have a nice full body regimen for self-care. So starting with basics is always good. So my left hand is going to prop up on the block. Your block height is dependent on your arm length, but even if you have a pretty long arm extremity here, you might still want the block up for the wrist. You might not want to get rid of it. And I want to feel like my hand is relaxed on it. Okay, so feel the right elbow to that left leg. Feel the weight of the sand on the right thigh. And allow the posture to kind of bloom a little bit. Feel the waist turn. Hydrate the pose with the breath. It only helps. Hydration only helps. Pose hydration. Now, if the neck is kind of dropping and not quite able to lift gently up, you might take a moment and let the right arm lengthen. Feel the chest move forwards, wherever it's at. And then revolve, so you're coming back forward, blocks 2. And then I uncross just to take a simple cross-legged position with sand moving to the left thigh now. And then keep it easy in your spine. This is sometimes translated as easy pose, right? Like crossing and leaning forward, easy pose. But with sand, it's not as easy, right? It's weight dependent on the hip joint. So be a little bit perplexed about how you can move your spine. Feel where the waist moves. Feel where the hips translate. And if you crave moving a little farther down to your blocks because, geez, it's nice to really quench the hip, you could. Just be careful that you're not dropping your head, like you're not really crowding your neck energy to your throat. You want to try to get a feeling that your neck and your throat are both pretty strong here. You can still relax your face, soften the throat. You know, what will make sense for us is to get a little bit of traction for our neck today from what we've done for brain float. So some of you are going, hooray, brain float today. But let's make it work for everybody. So we come up, we're going to take the blocks out, take them outside. They don't really need to be important for a bit, actually. Yeah, no. Okay, so we take the sand off and do a couple more poses. So I want you to move your bolster so it's centered. You'll have a blanket at the very back if you'll use it at all, and your belt is coming in for support. Okay? So place your back of your pelvis so you feel like your seat is almost on the floor. Okay? Now when I lower back, okay, I'm going to lower back so I feel as much of my body on that bolster like a bridge pose. The bridge pose startup. Okay, I've got my belt. I'm going to place it under my right foot. My right foot is on stage now for the pose. Suddenly. But I'm using my foot as I belt up and I have a loop. I'm using my foot that's up for tractioning my neck. So it's quite simple, really. It's like just the oldest thing in the book to do for traction, isn't it? So I want you to have a fairly wide loop. If you're not game for neck traction like this, remember you can take the belt and place the loop so it's between the webbing of thumb and index and stretch back your arms and your legs stretch. With your left leg down, you could do this as well. Okay, but the head is back. So I'm going to place my belt so it's around the bump at the back of my head, my occiput, but I personally like the belt so it's really a little bit above that space. That's where I like traction, so it's somewhere occipitally, right? Above or below occiput. Bump at the back of your head. And make sure it's not too much hamstring work. If you're feeling like, whoa, that's a lot of hamstring, you've got to kind of take away your idea of how your hair is with this one. Just kind of let it go. Let it go crazy. Okay, so sand, left thigh is nice to add in. Yeah, so let this final stage be a really nice investigation to our circulatory system. Right, as we reverse the flow of gravity to the heart. Feel your arms open, unless you have your hands in the belt behind you. Okay, and feel where the energy is in the very back muscles of the right leg, all the way to the right buttock, and then through the right side of the spine, all the way up into the neck. It's pretty cool, right, how you can dynamically put energy through the body. It's just that you have to do it, right? It does require a little bit of motivation. Now feel the marking on the leg that you have the most energy line. Is it the inside of the leg? Is it the outside of the right leg or behind it? So we're trying to bend the right knee now, so we have a little bit of ease. Chest is resting back, open. Push off the sand, bring the left foot up into the belt, change sides. Remember, it's the second side, so you might find the hamstring is different on the second side. It's not always the same response. Okay, so the leg is really focusing a bit at the 90 degree, isn't it? It's not going to necessarily, for everybody, be at that. Some of us, it might be a little closer, and it might be moving farther away. Okay, so feel what's right for your neck. Let this be about the neck. Add the sand to the right thigh, but really let this be a bit more about your neck, sensation-wise. Even if you have your hands holding the belt instead, you're here, you want your neck to relax and your arms to do the reaching, but with a neck rest. Okay? So either choice. Should feel comfortable either way for the neck. Not actually trying to force it. Feel gravity having you. Let gravity have you. It's inevitable, I think. Now with the required breathing experience here, feel the right foot push away. Feel the left foot kind of lackadaisical on the belt. The belt does all the work, right? We have the coordination of our belt to do the work right now. Not much else has to be focused on. And then surrender the use of the belt. You're going to let the hands take the belt off the back of your head, slide it. Take the left leg in, take the belt off, and then come into Viparita Karani. We'll do it in the middle of the room, I think. This just seems wise. We're at that time. So let's take our sand to the feet. If you happen to move your blanket away, it's probably best to have it under your head right now. Or under your, right at the base of your head to your shoulders. So feel where your feet push up. If you have 1, 2 sand beds, however many weights you're going to put on your feet, take some time to get there. And then feel the boldness of the feet pushing up. Try to energetically hold the ceiling up for a moment, 90 degrees, hold the ceiling up. And that might be like the balls of the feet push, like you go, oh, I'm going to hold it up, I'm going to activate. So feel now where you flex your feet. But carry on to that. Energize the chest, opening, and surrender the brain. It's really the focus from here through the end of class is noticing as you internalize and start to process the sequence. You had things where you're trying to download or just took some time and it was processing. It's kind of like you right now. So processing the sequence, not your life or what's happened the last few months, but processing right now what you've done just a little the last hour and a half. I guess it's all part of the same thing, huh? Feel the flex. Feel the knees bend a little bit. Support your lower back. Support your local lower back. Okay, notice what your body needs right now to feel supported. Maybe it's to get rid of your sandbag, or it could be, and let your legs just kick up. Maybe it's to crawl into a ball and take a nap, but feel for a few moments the feet up. It's very helpful to reverse that, the effects of gravity, right? And it's constant pull on the organs all day, that prolapseal type of awareness that's occurring in your organs just by gravity. So just taking time to get upside down, especially getting your pelvis up so the organs actually have that shift. And the diaphragm, right, is turned in a position for the exhale to lengthen. So if you want to carry on a few more moments on this one, because you're attempting to really stimulate a little more of your immune system, go for it. You don't have to come out yet. But those of us that are going to come out, we're going to bend the knees, and we're going to move our sand bag off our feet. And then as the knees tuck in, I want you to push the bolster forwards. And then roll up. So you're going to hold the legs and roll forward. And then place the blocks at two different, well, they're actually on two different heights, but they're both the second height. And then the bolster goes on top. And the blanket is either swaddling your legs today, this is a good swaddling, or you could put a sandbag on. Okay. But really getting into that compact. Now, if you like to swaddle and you really like this compactness, you could also add on your belt. Right? So now you're really compact. Now you've got your belt, carefully holding the legs, nothing that's cruel, right? It keeps the skin sensation so that it's being held, right? Belts and restorative poses like these type of belting or around the thighs that we do in the start actually are calming to the nervous system because it takes the skin and it pushes it like a massage, right? It's not a massaging belt, but maybe we could create one of those in our downtime. Okay. So as we lower back onto the blanket, feeling the balance of my body, I could put sand on my ribs to my belly. If you like tossing sand onto your shins, you could try, but I would keep it real simple. Now, the sand on my belly, I can work on moving my core muscles. I can find where the sand works the best in my core. Expanding and contracting, or if it's on my ribs. Let your arms relax. Feel where they're rather close to you right now so that your energy can be contained for all that you are, right? The breath is a vehicle, but the bones are rather solid here. So feel where your awareness transfers into the breath. And reverse that flow of breath. So as you feel the inhale, the belly fills. And as you exhale, you feel the belly contract. And you can reverse the breath with that, right? So you could inhale, and it could be the opposite, but after you do a little bit more breath training, you'll start to do the proper breath training, right? The lift, Ujjayi breath, right? So focusing right now on the palms relaxed, diaphragmatic focus, shoulders back, and returning your body to a state of balance and towards peace. Internally, for yourself, for others. So with the eyes resting, simply reside in receiving wellness. Cycle the breath for a few more times. And internalize where you need this practice the very most. Most of the time it's just to center yourself. It's not always a physical definition you're looking for, but to get mentally grounded and feel supported. Sometimes you get support from your yoga practice, more than others. Now, scanning any of the areas you have in a bind, which is a belt or a blanket, those areas likely are very calm, right? They kind of gel and they affect the nervous system. So consider this, anytime you're just going to do a 5-minute relaxation, you might do these techniques with wrapping, you know, or having an eye pillow on, something that really lets the skin feel, especially if you're not getting a whole lot of touch. Right? Use the props that you touch onto. Now, in the next few moments, we're going to simply move any weight off of our bodies. Remove the belts. Anything that you have that's touching on, feel one at a time go away. And then let the body kind of feel a little bit of spillage, right? Just kind of centers. Don't spill anything out, but just feel spillage. And the opposite of prolapse here. And so I want you to let your feet slide out now. Hopefully you have nothing onto your shins right now. So get a feel of your knees bending. Press the low back into the floor. So the lower back presses, and bring the knees into the chest with their own free will. Try to hug the legs in either over the knees or under the legs behind the thighs with a nice pull. Selecting wellness here, so feeling a simple thought and maybe a focus outwards to others, especially on your back. It's a pretty receptive state to be in on your back. So let's roll to the side and come together in our homes for a moment with a relaxed breath. So sit on your blankie. Feel where there's control in your spine and where there's a calm, open experience on the lap. So feel your hands in your lap. Feel the spine up and the shoulders down. Feel if you can let your gaze lightly lift. Maybe it's forward, maybe a little up. And then bowing your head down to the heart. Lift your hands up to your heart space and noticing, eyes closing, surrendering there at the space of the heart. Inhale together and exhale, bowing into in gratitude. Namaste. Let me unmute you so I can hear a few people, a few alive people.